We are recording. We're recording to cloud.
Intro waffle.
Intro waffle. Here we go. Hello and welcome to Rock, Paper, Swords, the historical action and adventure podcast. My name is Matthew Harffy.
And my name is Justin Hill.
And it's Christmas. Well, it's just after Christmas, actually. Well, it's not. We're recording this before Christmas, but Merry Christmas to one and all. By the time you hear this, Christmas will be a thing of the past, and you'll be in that interlude, hinterland between Christmas and New Year when anything is possible and you don't know what time of day or week it is.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone. I don't know about you, but this is the one time of year where Elle and I both stop work entirely and we do nothing for a week. But often we watch Lord of the Rings extended versions. You know, they do the whole thing end to end.
It's coming out in the cinema in January. They're
Really?
re-releasing it. Yeah, the extended version's in the cinema.
Oh, fantastic.
So I think I'm not sure of the run, but it's the 20th anniversary, 25th
Okay.
anniversary, 25th anniversary.
Well, that's
If that
scary.
makes you feel old.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. 25th anniversary of the Fellowship of the Ring. Yeah, I don't know if they're bringing out just the Fellowship of the Ring or if they're doing all three. I just saw it the other day, just mentioned
Well, I'm sure they'll
somewhere.
be doing all three.
So you have to have a look. But I
Mm.
saw the original, obviously, in the cinema. But of course I did. Of course we both did, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, just back to the podcast. Welcome, one and all. And thank you for joining us at this time. And hopefully you've had a wonderful Christmas and you are sitting there with your feet up and having a drink of whatever you like to be drinking, or you're walking your dog, or you're doing something nice and relaxing, wandering around, walking to or from the pub, perhaps with your headphones in because you're going to meet some friends at the pub and have a nice drink. Ah, cold, crisp, cold morning. Who knows? By the time this comes out, there could be like Third World War or something, and maybe we're talking as if there's going to be
This
a
will go down in
Merry
history
Christmas.
as
This is the last podcast ever recorded. The last moment of sanity. Anyway, welcome one and all, and this is sort of a bonus episode in that we didn't. This is not our normal schedule. So our last our last episode before Christmas was Gareth Rubin, and so that one's been and gone. And now you've had your Christmas and you've had your turkey or whatever you ate. In fact, we can have a little chat about that. I
Hmm.
think we mentioned it the previous one what we're going to do. So we can't actually say how was it. Well, we could pretend. How was the your roasted goose?
Fabulous.
Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant.
And we always finch it off because always a little bit of crispy skin and some delicious meat. And we have
Nice.
it a couple of days later with Chinese Peking duck pancakes.
Ah,
Um,
perfect.
yeah, really great.
And your suckling pig is all ready
For New
For New
Year,
Year's Eve.
yeah,
Yeah, of
it's actually a Spanish suckling pig.
course it is from Segovia, probably.
Probably, yeah, rolled. Usually we
Mm.
get the whole kind of the small child and shove it in the oven like Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah.
But now I went for a rolled one this time, just, a bit less macabre.
Okay. Well, I look forward to seeing photos of your crispy pig.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you haven't received a Patreon, I'm just trying to think of the word, as a gift for Christmas, if you haven't received a Patreon subscription to our podcast, Patreon, then of course now is the moment to spend whatever money you've been given in your stocking and go online and go to patreon.com/rock paper swords podcast and subscribe. And you can subscribe for a year. You can give it as a gift to other people, a subscription if you want. You want to. It makes perfect sense for the for everyone listening to this. You get bonus episodes. There's some stuff that we've written, posts that other people can't see, bonus posts. There's books that I wrote with Stephen A. Mackay that you can
Yep.
access on there. All sorts of things. Great fun. So join us and leave us reviews and all that stuff as well, wherever the urge may take you. Justin's looking bemused, like, what the hell is he talking about? I don't know. I've been drinking too much Christmas sherry.
Yeah.
But today, what are we going to talk about today, Justin?
So today we thought we would look back as we're kind of poised at the very end of the year. And it's a little moment where you take stock and reflect and take a kind of a step back from the busyness of life. We thought we would do that kind of, that is it Janus, the Roman god, who looks one way he looks into the future, one way he looks into the past. So we would look back at the past and then have a little look forward to what 2026 brings and what things might be coming in the podcast and what we're doing and what we're looking forward to as two practicing authors and what we're working on, all those kind of things.
Yeah, that sounds like a jolly good idea. And is Janus where we get the name of January from? Is that where January comes from? Yes, okay. So yeah, interesting. So
you can tell you've been writing a Roman novel.
Yes, I have. And as a quick sort of, we can just very quickly touch on where we're at with that. I mean, this is hopefully by the time we have this comes out, I'll be up to 35, 40,000 words. At the moment, I'm actually at about 23,000 words, but I'm hoping to get to at least 30 before Christmas. So
yeah, that'd be good. That's kind of a third of a novel for you.
Yeah, a third or a quarter, probably about a quarter of this one. I feel like it's very early days in the novel, but I was looking at it earlier today, although I haven't actually done much writing, well, none today. But I was looking at it and I thought, oh, there's actually a few chapters there. There's some stuff. So yeah, it's sort of day by day, 1,000, 2,000 words. You know, it all adds up quite quickly.
Yeah, quickly. And
how are you at with your?
Yeah, I've just passed 100,000 words with this first draft, which I think is the longest I've done since Shield Wall.
Wow.
And I'm a little, I mean, it's good. I've got the kind of words out, which saves me on the second draft. I'm a little worried that how much more there is to do. And I really want to get this one wrapped up by Christmas. So hopefully by the time you're listening to this, I will have got to the end and put the book away. But maybe it's kind of funny because coming up to Christmas, you lose so many days and like little things. And I mean, it's only the 9th of December, but I'm kind of looking, it's like 2 weeks of work before Christmas.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a bit of a push. Anyway,
and it's 2 weeks, but as you say, 2 weeks with interruptions. Because I mean, I know you've got, different things to do. Everyone's got all these different bits and bobs and family things and preparation and, buying presents, whatever, shopping and just general stuff, getting the house ready, things falling through the
hole in the roof,
hole in the roof, trees falling down in gardens and stuff. So all these things that occupy our time. But yeah, I'm looking at it and like Friday I've got a Christmas lunch that I'm going to. I think I'm meeting my editor one day next week. So that's 2 days straight away out of like what is possibly like 10 days or something of writing. So very quickly you start losing a lot of the opportunities for writing. But I agree with you that I love Christmas and the time, of Christmas. And I think I said in the last episode that it was going to be a smaller Christmas than normal. My sister wasn't coming. She contacted me the next day and said, "Oh, is it okay if I come along at Christmas?" So my sister is coming along. So my niece and I don't think they're coming. My niece and daughter and her boyfriend, but maybe they're coming as well. Who knows? Everyone's going to come
because they have a new baby, don't they?
They got a new baby, but my sister now is coming as well. So
maybe she wants to get away from the nappies.
Maybe, but well, by this point, of course, we'll already have had all of the booze and the Christmas arguments and whatever else ensues over Christmas. I'll tell you in the new year. But looking back over this year, then, as we're going to do the Janus thing, is it Janus? Is it Janus? It's probably
Janus, I think.
Janus, probably. I'm trying to think of how you pronounce it in Latin.
Yeah.
But anyway, looking back. First, starting, you made some bullet points on our script here, some ideas.
Yeah.
Books that we've read.
I think, I don't know about you, I always feel I don't read enough for a writer.
Absolutely. You put this bullet point down and I thought, I'll jot down, and I started trying to think, what have I read? and I'm sure I've missed some out, but I sort of started taking note, and I had to sort of go back onto my phone and sort of look on Kindle. I can't remember ones I've read physically, and anyway, nightmare. I agree with you totally. Don't
Yeah.
think I read enough.
Yeah, I went on my Amazon account and ABE Books and tried to look at all the books I bought this year. And some of them I haven't read yet, which is a little embarrassing. There's a new translation of The Odyssey by Daniel Mendelsohn, who I heard on the Rest is History podcast.
Okay.
And it sounded really interesting anyway. I bought that, but I haven't read it. So there's something I bought but haven't read. Um, but yeah, I think I've had quite a good year this year. Um, one book that I'm not going to go through all of them, but I thought one book that was really interesting was a guy I'd seen on Instagram. He's called Paul Lamb, and he's a hedge layer. I think his Instagram account something like, West Country Hedge Layer. Anyway,
Right. Okay.
he wrote a book called Of Thorn and Briar, a year with the West Country Hedge Layer, Paul Lamb. And it's just kind of a diary of him, but it's actually pretty well written, and it was just any kind of book that is about a guy living in a caravan, moving around the countryside of. It's all your part of the country, so you would love
Yeah.
it. Um, Buying his hazel rods from one guy, spending a couple of months on a farm somewhere in Devon, you know, laying all their hedges. Just really great book.
Isn't it that's the kind of thing that I would read and then get stuff out that I could use in like the Benicia Chronicles or
Yeah,
other books that you can, because lots of that stuff hasn't really changed for 1,000 years. So you
yeah,
can imagine,
exactly.
building laying a hedge is going to be very similar
Yeah,
in 12th century or 11th century or whatever as it is nowadays.
yeah,
So
exactly.
definitely use some of the things that he'll reference, birds that he hears and anecdotes, things that happen.
Yeah, the history of the characters as well.
Yeah.
So that was a really great book. Another one that really surprised me actually was I listened to the audiobook of Andrew Roberts's Churchill biography because I
Okay.
didn't really know much about Winston Churchill. And I thought, well, this would be interesting. And it was a really long book. I think it's like 17 hours. And I was surprised by what I learned. Um, I never really thought of Churchill as being basically essentially a Victorian aristocrat,
Yeah.
who kind of, was out of time really. Um, and just how, I guess when you look back at history, you have a sense of it happened, so therefore that's how it was going to happen. But when you listen to the
Mm.
biography, the kind of the moments of chance or the kind of the strange fate that, brought Churchill to power in, 1940, um, just really kind of, um, illuminating. And I guess the one thing I really took away from it was how he didn't really get on with the Conservative Party at all, and actually he was barely a conservative, and it wasn't a socialist conservative, but some kind of basically kind of a liberal conservative. Well, of course, he was in the Liberal Party for some time as well. Anyway, really interesting because um, it wasn't at all how I expected it. So it was very kind of eye-opening, I thought.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know that much about it. I mean, I know a little bit about it. I went to the Blenheim Palace. I've been there, and there's quite a lot about his life there, of course. And I went to the war rooms in London that have opened now, and you can see there's quite a lot about him, sort of his wartime
Mm,
persona in there as
mm.
well. So sort of, a little bit, but I haven't read any in-depth histories about him. So that's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Not at all as expecting.
No.
Um, Other things there was so after we interviewed Simon Tolkien, I read a book called The Literary Lives of the Inklings, J.R.R. Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, Owen
Uh,
Barfield, Charles Williams, and I skipped most of. I was really interested in C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien, and I skipped most of the other bits. But it was quite interesting having just spoken to Simon Tolkien, um, because there was a lot about Tolkien that isn't in the biography by Humphrey Carpenter. Um, I don't know about you, but when we were talking to Simon Tolkien, I had a sense of Tolkien in there because I think um, Tolkien had a kind of a brusque manner. And there were moments we were asking Simon Tolkien a question, and I thought he's kind of
he's gonna
glaring at us.
he's
But then
gonna
he would say, "Oh, lovely, good question," And I was
Yeah,
completely kind of taken back in that his kind of body language was
yeah.
quite, quite different. Anyway, yeah,
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was an interesting one. I mean, we're going to talk later on about guests we've had on, and that's probably one of the highlights in terms of just name recognition and sort of the history of that of his obviously
yeah,
his family history is huge. Just looking at my list of books as well.
yeah. What have you read? Any things that have stuck out for you?
It's been a very eclectic sort of year, and I'm stupidly I didn't think to look through my ABE books or A books, how you pronounce it,
Mm.
and or Amazon, but I looked through my Kindle stuff and I looked through Audible as well because I listened to a lot of audiobooks. So I did, and I remembered a few things. So I listened. One of the normally I very rarely listen to like whole series. I very rarely sort of pick up a series and love it so much that I read the whole thing. I remember the first time, and maybe one of the very few times that's happened was with the Winter Pilgrims by Toby Clements,
Mm.
and listened to all four of those novels, I think it was, and loved them. They're absolutely amazing. And the same thing happened. Not quite. It wasn't quite on a par with the Toby Clements books, but who's actually I need to contact him because he's agreed it will come on the podcast. I reached
Yeah.
out to him on Facebook, so I really hope that happens. But not not at that level. But I did listen to the first book to do. I did a review with for the podcast with Stephen actually
Yeah.
about a bonus episode on Patreon. We did a review of The Wolf Den by Elodie Harper,
Hmm.
and she's published by Head of Zeus Bloomsbury, the same as me. And I really liked it, and Stephen didn't like it. It's set in Pompeii, like in the year or two build up before the eruption,
Mm.
and I really liked it. It's all about prostitutes and slaves and their life and everything. It's quite difficult reading at times. But I thought she did a very good job. She was very sensitive to it all, and it doesn't feel, although they're living sort of lives that could be sort of played for sort of titillation and sordid details of sex and stuff. There's lots of sex in it, but she doesn't dwell on it, and it doesn't
Yeah.
feel like she doesn't sort of give you blow by blow accounts. No pun intended of everything that's happening. But I thought it was quite good. But Stephen didn't like it at all. He didn't even finish. He was for him
Wow.
it was a DNF, as they say. He didn't. He really didn't like it. But I did, and I went on to listen to the audiobooks of the whole trilogy.
Mm.
And I really, really enjoyed them. I don't think the second two were as good as the first one, but they were still good enough
And
to
they're all
make you
set in
listen.
Pompeii.
All set in Pompeii and Rome. She goes to Rome at one point as well. And again, hopefully, we'll get Elodie Harper on the podcast. There was a lot of chat with the
Yeah.
PR person from the publisher, from my publisher, about having her on back in September when her new book came out, and that all fell through. I don't know what's going on there, but maybe we'll get her on. I'd love to get her on, have a chat, because it's nice to actually read a book, really enjoy someone's book, and then be able to have them on, because often we get guests on and we don't have time to read the book, or you
Yeah.
can only skim it, or it's not your cup of tea, but you still want to interview them. But it's nice to actually read a book and enjoy it, and sort of say, well, let's have a chat about their writing. But obviously I'm a bit of a Roman kick, so I listened to the audiobook of Imperium by Robert Harris, which is the
Mm.
first of the series about Cicero, which I've discovered while studying about Rome, that should be pronounced Cicero. But anyway,
That's very Italian.
yeah, apparently the C is not pronounced like an S at all in Latin, but and the V is not pronounced like a V either. It's pronounced like a W. So it's the
Yeah.
Wigiless. But anyway,
And how was it?
it was a good book. Yeah, I'm sort of thinking about getting the second one. It was quite sort of slow
Okay.
paced, but very sort of atmospheric, and gave me lots of sort of background sort of feel for Rome and everything.
Yeah,
But
I've never read a Robert Harris book.
yeah, it's an
A
interesting
big
one.
kind of
I haven't read any of his stuff, and he's written a lot of things that touch on different periods of history. Obviously, Rome, he spent quite a lot of time writing about Rome, and he's written about Pompeii as well. And yeah, I am tempted to pick up some more of his Roman stuff, because I think it's quite good. He's obviously done a lot of research, and yeah, it's good. And on carrying on the Roman thing, I listened to The Silver Pigs by Lindsay Davis, which is the first of her Falco novels about this detective in Rome, which is quite not exactly like my books, but it sort of touches on a similar sort of sort of a thriller-esque sort of thing, storyline, a bit of a whodunit in her case. Like it's almost like a PI, but in Rome. And I really enjoyed that first one. I got the second one. It's a different narrator, and people have complained about it being a different narrator, but I don't know if it's the narrator or the story or what. I haven't finished it. It's totally.
Hmm.
It's just struggled to. I've listened to like several hours of it, but I've just. It's not gripped me at all. And the
Yeah.
fact they changed narrator after the first time seems very strange. And he
Yeah.
comes back. The same narrator, the original narrator, comes back for like book 9 of the series or something.
That's really weird.
Yeah, it's very strange. And trying to think other things. Quite a lot of non-fiction, of course, about about Rome. Thinking, I'll tell you what, an unusual one, bit of a left field one. We went to a Christmas market. And this is the last book I read. I actually finished it yesterday morning. Went to Christmas market a couple of weeks ago with my wife, and there was some people, a charitable group, whatever, and they were sort of taking donations and handing out wrapped books and said, for a Christmas present, and said, you can have it for free or you can give us a donation, because they obviously had like a secondhand bookshop there. So okay, so I took one, and all they
Hmm.
gave you, it said on it said thriller, or adult book, thriller, or for kids, or whatever. So they give you some sort of idea, so you don't sort of get your kids a
50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey for your sort of 10-year-old or something. But so anyway, so this said sort of like adult thriller, and I thought that sounds good. So I got it, and I was looking for something to read, so I opened it up when we got home, because I said to the wife, I said, should I put it under the tree and wait till Christmas? And in the end, I thought, I can't be bothered, I'm going to open it. And it was a Dick Francis novel from
Ah,
1990. And I've never read any Dick Francis.
yeah, my nan
And
loved Dick Francis.
yeah, and it's called Straight. And anyway, I read the whole thing. I got, it's very, very, very readable.
He's horse racing, isn't he?
Well, yes. So all of his characters, apparently, I sort of did obviously a little deep dive on him. And his son has taken up the writing since his father's old age and then later demise.
Mm.
But his son wrote the last few of them, apparently. But this one was written by Dick Francis. But yeah, he was a jockey, and then he wrote loads of best-selling thrillers, and it was good, really
Yeah.
good fun,
Wow,
fast-paced,
fantastic.
lots of detail, and sort of like almost like historical fiction now. It feels like, because it was written like late 80s, and so
Yeah.
he's talking all about these gadgets that they've got, and all the gadgets, like obviously completely outmoded now. But the whole thing was very much, lots of the plot was around gadgets. So it was around, he had automatic lights that came on when you went near the house and things like that. And it was like, wow, this is amazing. It's all
It's high tech.
he had a phone in his car, and it's like, wow, he's got a mobile phone. What's this? All this stuff. It's quite incredible how much
Yeah.
has changed in a relatively short period of time.
Yeah, in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
In our relatively short lifetimes.
Yes. Anyway, so that was it. It was interesting. That's a dwell on our long lives, but yeah. So
Yeah,
moving on.
well, I was going to say there's two other books that I just wanted to
Yeah.
talk. The
Yeah.
Book of Kells one we did with Victoria
Yes.
Whitworth. I got two-thirds of the way through before the podcast, and I've learned so much about medieval illustrated manuscripts before, and I kind of can't wait to have time to go back and finish it and go through it. And I've started reading for the second time The Winter King by Bernard Cornwell.
What a great book.
Yeah. I bounced off it the first time. I'm finding it quite difficult the second time as
Did you
well.
not? Did you didn't finish it the first
No,
time?
no.
What?
Well, so I'm about a third of the way through.
I can't believe it's like it's what? It's like so up your street. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I was on a WhatsApp thread where people were just saying it's the best, one of the the most perfect books ever. And I thought I must give it another go.
You
Um,
definitely need to persevere, because lots of people I know have said that they don't like the beginning, and that apparently he says that although it's his favorite series of books that he's written, that he would not have written the first 200 pages the way he did.
yeah, I don't think he would. It feels
But
like a kind of really early work.
saying that,
Yeah.
I listened to the audiobook again like a year ago, and I think it stood up really well. So
Yeah, well, so I've just finished part one, and there's so much telling, you know, um, of which kingdom, which this
yeah, I
person,
think
that person. And I was kind of thinking, I'm kind of amazed he told a story like that, because there's a much more interesting way he could have told all that
yeah,
information, I think.
yeah. It's
Um,
difficult. It's very difficult. I mean, I think that's very much of a style of the 80s and 90s. That was mid
yeah,
90s,
there's a
and I
lot
think
of will. It's like,
there was a lot of telling in this Dick Francis one as well.
okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely kind of fashions in writing have changed. Um, And yeah, it's kind of like, can we just not see this through the characters? Anyway, so
Yeah,
I have persevered because I do have faith that it'll get better. Um, And
You really need to. You need to. If you've never read
yeah,
it, have you've never read that trilogy then?
no,
Oh my god. Oh my god. Seriously, you need to just persevere with that one.
yeah.
They're
So
three
I'll
of
go
my
back and read the
favorite.
first two.
They're three of my favorite books. So
Hmm.
the Winter King is the first one,
Is that the
isn't it?
first one?
The Winter King's the first one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then
good.
it's Enemy of God,
Yeah.
and then Excalibur,
Okay.
and
Great.
they are
So
three fantastic novels.
yeah. So I'm persevering.
But the first one, people have said, I've read it several times. People are saying they struggle to get into it. But I
Yeah.
think once you get, I can't remember what happens in each part, but I think once you get sort of halfway through, it should sort of hit the ground running then. And
Yeah. It's
that's it.
just had a kind of a scene where I'm like, okay, now I've got kind of. I mean, I can see I can feel the characters, and I'm more invested in them.
Yeah.
But that's like 80 pages in, which you think for Bernard Cornwell is quite slow.
Yeah.
Anyway. Um.
Well, that's really interesting. I've no idea that you hadn't read that because most people that come on the podcast, historical fiction writers, most people say that's the book that got them writing historical
Yeah.
fiction.
Yeah. It felt very
So
well researched, but it was kind of almost like there was too much kind of. Anyway, so
that's really
I
interesting.
thought it'd be
So
interesting.
yeah, okay, yes. Well, you definitely need to. That is definitely the book that inspired me to start writing The Serpent's Sword.
Yeah.
Was reading that trilogy. I loved them so much, and that's kind of the vibe that I was going for in The Serpent's Sword.
Yeah.
And then he brought out the Uhtred books before I'd finished, and I then felt quite deflated because I thought, oh no, he's done it. He's done what I've done.
Bastard.
He's kind of he's riffed off of his own work and said, oh, I'll take this and go a bit further, a bit later in history, and I'll write. And I was like, oh no. And he started in Bebenberg, and mine was Bebenberg, and I was like, oh my god, it's a
Yeah.
nightmare. I didn't write for
Recycling
years.
linked.
Yeah, I didn't write for years after that. So.
Well, I'm glad you got over it.
Yeah, my wife was convinced that he'd seen my manuscript and ripped me off, because I'd sent it into some competitions and stuff. And it was after that, like a year later, he then brought it out. She said, "Why don't you?" You never know, do you? Because you think an agent or someone, could say to someone, even might. Not for a minute do I believe that Bernard Cornwell would be doing that. But you can imagine how somebody could say, like an agent or an editor could say, "Oh, I've got an idea. Why don't you write about XYZ?" Because he's read it in some guy's, pitch.
So there was my initial reaction is that's not true because it doesn't happen because it's not how kind of authors think. But there was a case, and I don't remember who it was, but I'm sure there was a case of a author who judged a competition, and the winner of the competition was something like a cat or a sting in the tail or something, and then they published a short story with the same kind of narrative twist at the end.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so
Yeah, I mean, I'm not for one instant saying that I believe that Bernard Cornwell, would have done that
did you
or did that or, at all. I'm sure
did you
these things
think
could
about
happen.
doing a Napoleonic soldier at all?
Yeah, when I was about 15,
Yeah,
I started writing. No, no, I mean, yeah, it's.
yeah.
I'm sure that's not the case. My wife's very protective of me. She was like, "That can't be right."
Well, that's lovely. As the kind of Spanish,
Yeah,
protective Spanish spirit.
just go around and beat him up. How dare you?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
So
lovely
that's
anyway. Met him.
yeah.
He's great. So can't
Well, I
can't
never
can't
met
diss
him,
Bernard.
but I got his email, and I sent him. I think I sent him Shield Wall or Viking Fire. I can't remember which. And he sent me a lovely email back saying no. But it was lovely. He was just starting because he does a play every year, doesn't he? He lives in New
Yes,
England,
yeah,
and he
yeah,
was he was he was starring as Macbeth or something, and he was too busy. But
yeah.
he wished me all the best of luck. It was lovely.
He's a proper gentleman, and
Yeah,
yeah, he's lovely. Yeah. So other books, is that it for the
I think that's it.
books?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've read a few other books that are weird and wonderful, but
Mm.
The Gate of the Feral Gods and The Butcher's Masquerade by Matt Dinnerman, which are both part of the Dungeon Crawler Carl series,
Okay.
which are
Yeah.
very interesting because they're kind of, I don't know what they're called, something like lit RPG or something. So it's
Yeah,
sort
I've
of
heard
like
of that. I've never
literature
listened to
with,
it, but
but the audiobooks are amazing, and that's
yeah.
like the fourth and fifth or something. I'm yeah, very much into those, and I've got all of them actually that have been published so far. I'm sort of rationing them. I need to listen to some
Mm.
more, but they need to be in the right frame of mind, because if I'm listening to those, they kind of tend to pull me in a
Yeah.
more sort of humorous vein away from sort of the serious writing.
I say this feels like a very long time ago because it was back in July when we went on holiday to Crete, and I took I Claudius and Gates of Fire. and I'd read Gates of Fire before, I think a couple of times, and I thought it was time for a reread. And I was much less impressed actually than I remembered it.
Yeah.
Um, there were some, uh, kind of quite dubious, kind of plot twists. I thought, but still a great book. But that was kind of quite interesting, revisiting a book that I had just thought was the most amazing novel I'd read when it came out.
So for me, it wasn't this year. It's probably a year or two ago that I reread Lonesome Dove, which is one of my favorite books,
Yeah,
and I've always thought it was amazing. And I still thought it was amazing. I finished it and loved it. And again, I told Stephen to read it, and he didn't like it and didn't finish it. So
right.
Stephen and I very much different. Well, I guess possibly if you don't finish Winter King, we'll find out that our taste
Yeah,
doesn't align either. But I think you'll persevere this time and read it.
yeah.
You need to.
Okay,
So
so
yeah,
yeah,
moving on from books that we've read, what about books that we wrote? What
yeah.
books have you written this year?
Yeah, I had a look back through my kind of writing folders to see what I was working on this time last year. Um, and it was quite interesting. So it's a couple of Black Library books. So I finished one in kind of September last year that came out actually this year. So that was Hell's Last, and that is the fifth of the Minkalesque series.
Okay.
Um, so that's lovely. It's lovely to have a book, kind of come out. And then I started another book which will be coming out this year, of which I cannot speak. But
This
I'm
year
quite,
or next year,
oh yeah, sorry.
2026?
Yeah, 2026.
Okay.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about that. It's a little bit of a departure for me, so that's kind of some new territory. And yeah, and I've been working on I call it a contemporary thriller, just to kind of make it sound kind of easy to everyone. Um, but I'm can't wait to get back to that. And as soon as I finish this one I'm working on now, I'm gonna get back and try and finish that ending because
So
this time,
you've been writing a lot, and so you've written lots of different things. You've been writing on the new Black Library one that's coming out in
yeah,
2026. Is that the one that's up to 100,000 words now, or is that one already done?
uh, that's already done.
Oh, so that's
Done,
already done.
finished.
So the one
Yeah,
that's up to 100,000 words is another Black Library one. Is that
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
then you're working on this contemporary thriller as well. So you've got basically
yeah,
three books you've been working on this year.
yeah.
Okay.
Um, and really looking forward to finishing that because this time last year when we were meeting for our historical authors Christmas dinner, I met halfway through the day. I went off to meet
Yes.
my editor, slightly
Yeah.
pissed, saying, "Oh, I'll have a book to finish in spring of 2025," and here I am in December 2025, still not having
Trying
quite
to
finished it.
trying to
Yeah,
finish it. Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah.
was yeah, I was thinking about what I've written this year, and I guess I wrote some of Dominion of Dust probably, but that came out in October, so I didn't go back and check the dates, but I must have
Mm,
finished it early if I hadn't finished it
yeah.
for the very early year. Spent the bulk of the first half of the year, I guess, writing Bane of Benicia. In fact, I think I must have finished Dominion of Dust just before Christmas,
Mm,
writing it last year. And then because I remember I picked up Swords in the Snow, which was then untitled, the novella that I co-wrote with Stephen Mackay. I started that in January, February time.
yeah.
I did a couple of weeks work on it, and then I moved on to Bane of Benicia, which is book number 11 for Beierbrand, the Benicia Chronicles, and then picked up the novella again September time, August, September, finished it off, and then moved on now into the Roman book. So that's my writing has been.
So it's quite a
Uh,
busy year again.
yeah, it's funny because the time just goes flying by, and yeah, I was sort of doing edits for. I guess I was doing edits for Dominion of Dust, writing Bane of Benicia and Swords in the Snow,
Mm,
both of which have been finished. Swords in the Snow, of course, is out now, and yeah, if you're listening to this, you haven't read Swords in the Snow. It's still wintry. Still
absolutely
worth listening to,
perfect time to
sorry,
get it.
listening to, reading. It's not an audiobook. Yeah, it's not out as an audiobook. You can read it to yourself, read it out loud.
Yeah.
Perfect time, yeah. Sit there cuddled up and read it. It's very short, it's only 180 pages. It's a little sort of long novella. It's like
Mm.
probably like a pulp sort of novel length, really.
Perfect for a kind of cold day to sit by a
Yeah,
fire, glass of
absolutely.
port, and put your feet up.
Yeah, and it's good. Lots of action and violence and darkness, but at the same time, Christmas miracles and light at the end.
Yeah,
So it's a
uplifting.
good ending. And what books have had come out this year? Dominion of Dust and Swords in the Snow. So yeah, those two
Yeah.
books. And so you said next year you've got Minka Lesk #5, which
That came
is
out this
that came
year.
out this year. Sorry, that came
Yeah.
out this year. So you've got this untitled. We cannot know it's titled, but we can't know the title.
Yeah.
Coming out next year for Black
Yeah.
Library. Every time we say Black Library, I keep thinking like Black History Month. And I think
Okay.
it's
different.
I think, well, yeah, it's different. I keep thinking, what are you writing? What are you writing about? Anyway, yeah. So the Games Workshop, Black Library. So that's coming out next year. And then is that all you've got coming out next year?
I think
one
so.
Black Library novel?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think this one will be coming out next year. The one I'm working on now. But yeah, who knows?
I'll have Bane of Benicia will be coming out, and
yeah,
that's definite. And I think that's probably the only novel I'll have coming out next year as well.
Yeah, it'll be a quiet year.
Yeah, only one novel each.
I know.
We'll be writing more though. I'll be writing the Roman one and then picking up whatever the next book is.
Well, I've got a couple. Hopefully, and if I finish this thriller, it'll be coming out probably 2027, early 2027.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think the Roman one is probably going to come out towards either at the end of 2026 or beginning of 27.
Yeah, and then I could start my Hastings novel.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Yeah.
Yeah,
very excited about that.
I'll believe that when I see it. That's coming out. Is that coming out in 2036?
Probably. Yeah. I'll pencil it in.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that one. As you know, I'm a big fan, so yeah, I need to get that. No pressure. Make sure it's good.
Yeah, exactly.
So we looked back at the books, the writing, and looking forward at the writing of things. So just to look at what from the podcast perspective, of course, it's been an interesting year because I started off the year with Stephen A. Mackay as the co-host and co-founder, really, of the podcast. He decided to step away probably about May. I think he sort of said to me that he wanted to do that, and then we worked out I think a really nice transitional route. So when I reached out to you, and I was so pleased that you said yes, that you'd join, and then we went through that sort of conversations. Mating ritual, mating dance. Yeah. No, but it is difficult though, because changing keeping the format more or less the same, but changing to another co-presenter, co-host. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot of we have to sort of just agree on how we're going to go about things, and we've got future things planned as well that we both got to be in agreement about. And but yeah, I'm really happy with the way things have gone. It's been an interesting sort of first half of the year with Stephen, and then second half with you, and then it's been great. I think it's been really good.
I think so. Yeah, it's funny because I started off the year and I subscribed to BBC Maestro, thinking they got some Lee Child courses and things. I thought just great to kind of reinvigorate the writing ideas, and that's I haven't opened one of those since March. But when you asked me to join the podcast, I kind of thought I'm never going to have time to do a podcast as well. But I can see, the last two kids are getting close to leaving home. And I kind of thought, okay, I should definitely go for it because I've always really got on with Matthew. And we hardly ever see each other, but we always get on very well when we do. And we are writing such similar things. And it's been really fun. I've really enjoyed it's going to sound a little sad, just sort of the social life of us, talking about the podcast and then meeting up and chatting. And when I look at the list now of who we have talked to. And my first outing was for the David Gemmell auction.
That's right. Yes, we did a David Gemmell Legends. It's like one of the fan club groups on Facebook. They were doing an auction event for charity.
Yeah.
And they wanted someone to host it. And stupidly, I said I would. And then I managed to rope you in.
I think so. It's happening next week. So, join me if you like or not.
Yes. And you'd already said yes to the podcast, but we kind of we hadn't done the podcast yet, or maybe we'd done one recording. It was very early days, wasn't it? And I sort of said, do you want to join? And you graciously said yes. But that was good. It was good because it was a live event. So it's actually probably more pressure.
I think so.
in many
But
ways.
that went very well. And yeah, the first couple podcasts, it just, I was finding my feet. But it's surprising how quickly you slip into finding, the conversations, because
Yeah,
that's almost like when it's most fun, is that when the guest is talking and you and I are kind of leaping in with more questions that have kind of springing from what they're talking about. Um,
absolutely.
yeah,
That's great. Yeah, I'm really pleased with the way it's gone, and I think, and I've had a lot of positive comments from friends and people. Have said that they really like the way it's going. It's not like
Mm.
I don't think anybody said, oh God, this is terrible, because you don't know what how it's going to work. You think, well, is it
it,
is it going to
it
work?
could
Are
be
we going?
worse.
It could. Well, are we going to have any sort of, I don't know if chemistry is the right word, but that sort of rapport and be able to, like you
Yeah,
say, sort of have a conversation and chat and get on, because we didn't know each other very well. But when we started, obviously we know each other a bit better now than we did. But
it's true. And we had a lunch in Bath, didn't we?
yeah.
Or a lunch session, rather. It's probably a closer. There was no food involved.
There was no food, but luckily you're luckily probably for both of us is that you were there with your wife and a couple of your kids as well. So you had to leave before you got too hammered. It was
Yeah.
probably good to have a sort of a moment we could say, right. I think if you'd been on your own, it would have got messy. We would have been there late
That
into
was
the evening.
July, wasn't it? Because we're down for
Yeah,
my daughter's birthday.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's been great, and seeing who we've interviewed. I mean, Christopher Tolkien obviously stands out just because he. I mean, J.R. Tolkien's the reason I became an author. So to be able to talk to him was really quite exciting. Um, and I guess kind of other. I mean, I think there's some brilliant guests, but the kind of the big names that you kind of think, oh wow, this is quite impressive. It's Tony Robinson, or Sir Tony Robinson,
Sir Tony Robinson. Yeah, I mean, I think it's been
Baldric.
interesting looking at the list of the guests that we've had on. Of course, we've done a couple. I think we've done one or two episodes. It's just been the two of us talking about things as well, which
Mm,
I quite like doing that. Finding some topics and themes to talk about and not having guests on. It's an interesting balance. I think we probably sometimes we end up erring towards the side of having guests too frequently because
mm.
people always want to come on, so it's difficult sometimes to say no, and we end up sort of having lots of guests on. But looking at the guests that we've had on over these last 6 months, I think we started off quite with soft guests, so people that
Yeah,
you'd met personally.
yeah,
So we'd spent time with, like at Christmas dinners, or whatever. So we had Adam Lofthouse and JC Duncan, Angus Donald. So the first three, it was very much, this is going to be soft and okay, and you know these people, so it's relaxing. That's not so bad, right? And then it's like, and now you're going
yeah.
to have Christopher Tolkien. It's like, you were what? Yeah, it was amazing that we got him on, because I just saw that he had a book coming out and it's historical fiction. I
Yeah,
thought, oh, why not? We should contact him and see. But yeah, it was really, really good.
yeah. I was racing to finish the book. I had it on like double speed for the day of the interview. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that was a really good episode, because we talked a lot about his book, but we talked a little bit about his grandfather,
Mm.
a little bit about the TV show, and of course the videos on YouTube got more hits than most of our videos do, because there's such a strong feeling about, obviously, J.R.R. Tolkien, but also Rings of Power, of which Christopher Tolkien, was it? It's
Yeah,
not Christopher.
Christopher
It's
and
not. It's not Christopher Tolkien. It's Simon
Simon
Tolkien. We've been
Tolkien.
saying Christopher Tolkien all this time. It's not
Yeah,
Christopher Tolkien. It's Simon Tolkien. Christopher Tolkien's dead.
yeah. With Seance.
Wow, we seanced with Christopher Tolkien. No, yes, let's. Yes, so just imagine we
Christopher
didn't say
Tolkien's
Christopher
son.
Tolkien. Yeah, it's Christopher Tolkien's son, Simon Tolkien. So
Yeah.
yeah, so Simon Tolkien is one of the producers of, or executive producers or producers or whatever, of the Rings of Power thing, and there's people
Mm.
feel so vitriolically pissed off about it. Quite amazed, actually, some of the comments on that YouTube video.
I didn't feel pissed off. Oh,
No,
our
people
video.
pissed off on the video about, like, just commenting and saying Simon Tolkien ruined everything, and we
Yeah.
hate him, and he's horrible, and he's destroyed his
I kind of think that's, I mean,
grandfather's legacy. And I was thinking, blimey,
I did
okay,
not
wow,
watch the Rings of, is it Rings of Power?
yeah,
Because it just looked, I mean, it just didn't look good to me.
yeah. Come on, you
And
could say it looks shit.
yeah, it
Let's
looked
face
shit.
it.
And I kind of thought Californian scriptwriters are not going to get
Yeah, no,
what I think is
it's
brilliant about Tolkien.
exactly what you'd imagine. It's all
Yeah.
the money has been spent on making on like special effects and the costumes and stuff, and that all looks great, but the script is an absolute dog's dinner. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
So
awful.
I didn't go there, but my sons did, and they kind of quite enjoyed it, and
Yeah,
great. Um,
yeah,
I don't have anything against that.
yeah. I mean, I got some stick from the guys that I play Dungeons and Dragons with. They're all sort of our age, and they were sort of saying, "Oh, do you like Rings of Power and everything?" And I said, "Oh, I think it's a bit rubbish." And they were like, "Wow, you're so critical. You know, it's great because it's fantasy and all that." And I was like, "Well, yeah, but it's not great though, is it? It's
Yeah,
it's
it looks shit.
well, I think actually it looks okay. I just think
There
the
was a
story,
dialogue.
the dialogue, the characters, the stories. I mean, nothing really makes any sense.
Yeah,
And it's just anyway, you know,
trying to make it.
it's just depressing that you think so much money was spent
Yeah,
on it, and if they'd given us a tenth of the money they spent on the Rings of Power, we could have made something great out of our books, or just write a script.
yeah. Didn't I mean Tom Stoppard, the playwright who wrote Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead, has just
Mm-hmm.
died,
Yeah, yeah.
and I didn't realize, but he wrote the Indiana Jones script,
And the Last Crusade, wasn't it? He wrote some of it.
The Last Crusade.
He stepped in, did some of it. I think he did some sort of
Okay,
punch ups, or what they call
yeah. And
them.
I kind of thought, well,
Yeah,
you want someone, or the guy who writes, I don't know, someone like writes Downton Abbey, or someone who, a great
yeah,
script writer, come in, and because kind of early Tolkien, the Silmarillion or the Rings of Power era stuff is quite, it doesn't lend itself to adaptation. It's
yeah,
very kind of Edwardian, Victorian, um, and there's a reason why the Silmarillion doesn't sell as well as Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit,
yeah.
uh, because it's quite dark. I mean, not dark; it's just difficult to get to. Anyway, so you need someone,
Dense. Yeah,
yeah,
it's difficult,
dense, and a totally different kind of
convoluted, and just
artistic
yeah,
register than The Hobbit, say. So you need someone who can a really great scriptwriter to do that, and a team full of 20 something Californians. I just didn't think, nah.
yeah. No, I totally agree. So just looking through the rest of the list of people that we've interviewed, Dr. Joanne Ball, who was great, all about
Yeah,
Tacfarinas and the
yeah.
Roman history. It's the second time she's been on the podcast, and she's great. Actually, she's really good guest. Beth and Boyd Morrison,
They were great.
brother and sister writers who write historical fiction, and they were really interesting.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Beth because it's almost the same as with Victoria,
Yes,
and Harry Sidebottom as well, actually. When you have an academic who knows their stuff so well and can communicate it.
and it's very
Um,
passionate about it because all three of them,
yeah,
they all know it really well, but they're very passionate and they're sort of
yeah,
storytellers as well.
yeah,
I mean, all of them are novelists as well as academics, and I think
yeah,
that's an interesting thing, isn't it? Somebody who wants to, well, like Tolkien, we're talking about Tolkien as well. I mean, storyteller and academic. I mean, it's a great recipe for from some great novels, I guess.
yeah. Harry Sidebottom was lovely because I'd met him just once before at the Historical Novel Society's event where we met in 2015, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And he was just, again, just such a great character. So it was lovely to read his book on gladiators. This is kind of a day in the life of gladiators, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Really good. And then, kind of have him expound, and he's so articulate and so funny. Um, yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember one of his quotes or something about the women just love the sword, don't they? And then he goes, and of course for sword I mean cock. It's like, yeah, okay,
Gladiators cock.
it's okay, it's okay. Yeah, Harry, we got it.
Yeah. And it's funny because Adam Lofthouse, the first one we did, I'd last seen him about 8 o'clock this time last year, John the Christmas. He and I were the last two survivors,
Yeah,
training
and
our
this
way home.
time, strangely enough, the two people who've dropped out of this year's
Oh,
Christmas get
really?
together, you and
Yeah,
Adam. What's
I
going
know.
on there? Did something happen and you don't want to see each other? This is it makes sense.
Yeah, I don't
Maybe
know.
maybe
Did I say something?
we should have told each of you that the other one had dropped out first, so that
Yeah.
you know.
There is it's one of my favorite Christmas drinks. There's so much on that day.
Yeah.
And
Next
yeah,
year.
yeah. And of course, another great thing was JC Duncan discovering he, was a role-playing game enthusiast and had a
Yes.
sideline of kind of movable dungeons or
Yes. So that was a strange, discovery. He's
discovery.
making more money out of that than the writing now, isn't
Yeah,
he? His
absolutely.
side hustle has become his main hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah, it's worth listening to if you haven't heard that episode.
Hmm.
Of course, I was going to say, well, another change for the podcast, if we're looking back at what, obviously for me, it's changed that before all the editing was done by Stephen. And now I'm doing the editing. And of course, now we're putting everything out in video format as well. And I'm doing
Yeah.
the editing, the video edits, which obviously the
So you have
audio.
to do your hair, especially.
I have to do my hair, especially. Yeah. I mean, I'm obviously always coiffured. But no, but it's been an interesting learning curve at times. And obviously that takes a bit of extra time, I guess, from me to
Yeah.
do that. But
How have you found the editing?
it's all right. I get to the point now that it's quite fast now, as long as as long as there's no major cock ups or technical issues,
Hmm.
or as long as guests are fluently speaking and stuff. We've had a few guests that have been a bit more difficult. Sometimes a bit more difficult to get them to speak as fluidly. Sometimes people hesitate and stop in between, and there's lots of gaps and things. You think, oh gosh, that becomes awkward, because sometimes you feel like you have to edit some gaps out. And
Yeah.
but
Just so there's no silences for the listeners.
yeah, especially if it's just an audio. If people are listening, I think probably most people consume podcasts just as audio still, even though there's a tendency now to listen and watch, to watch them as well. But I think, yeah, you do sort of think, well, people are listening to this, they don't want to hear sort of dead air, which is what they always talk
writers thinking,
Yeah.
writers being artistic. And I know you've had some fun adventures with AI whilst you're editing.
Haha.
Wasn't it because the Simon Tolkien interview, when he was talking about Nazis,
That's true. Yes, yes,
and
yes.
it kept putting laughter tracks on
That
every
is
time he
true.
mentioned
Yes,
Nazis.
that's true. So yeah, so in the editing software that I use, there's some AI help, tools or whatever that you can use, and one of them, it's like to do sort of clips to post on like reels, or TikTok videos, rather than go through and manually sort of reorder, rejig, and pull out these clips. You could click a button, it would say, well, go through, you've already edited the episode together, and it's real people and everything. And I think, well, okay, I'll do this. Why not? It says, well, pull out some interesting clips, and you can choose, whether you like them or not, and it will put subtitles on the people and everything, all this. And so I said, yeah, okay, I'll do this. Did it with Simon Tolkien's one, and I just thought this would be fine, watching it. And yeah, every time he mentioned something terrible like fascists or getting murdered or Nazis, it had put an automatic laughter track on. It was very, very strange. I mean, I sent you a video, didn't I? Because it was so weird, and it was bizarre. And I realized there's different settings, and you could sort of say this is an educational podcast, or it's two people talking, whatever. Depending on what you choose, it does different things. So the one I chose afterwards was just like educational, and it doesn't put in any laughter or sound effects. But for one of them, I can't remember what it was. It kept on doing this. It was suddenly like somebody would mention, just say something. It would suddenly go ka-ching, ha 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 ha, and it would put those little noises and stuff in. It's like, what's going on? But it seemed to always be when there was a mention of fascists or Nazis or murder. Yeah,
it's really strange.
It was very strange. I don't know if that's just the AI having like a dark joke at the human's expense, but yeah, very weird. So other highlights of the year for you, apart from the podcast?
Well, clearly the podcast.
Obviously.
It's been a kind of quiet year. It often seems this way, but it's kind of got to December, and I still feel I'm back in March, and about to watch the next lead child on BBC Maestro, and suddenly here we are. I guess I think kind of the most exciting thing was probably this Black Library novel, which is coming out next year, probably, of which I can say nothing, because it was quite an interesting challenge, which I can talk about when it comes out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to when it comes out. We'll have to have a whole episode about it. You'll have to get a clearance to be able to talk about it.
They might be announcing it soon. Who knows?
Well, once it's announced and we know something about it, you have to sort of just say to them, "Look, I'm going to talk about this on a podcast. Is that okay?" Once it's been announced, because I know that they can get a bit twitchy about these things. I'm sure they'll be fine.
Well, they like to be in control. I mean, it's a big.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they'll be fine about it as long as you run it past them. But yeah, we just need to.
Yeah. So that was really fun. And other highlights. I was counting my novels this year, because I keep thinking I'm nearly 20. And I think
You've
next novel
7. No.
The next novel I write will be my 20th published novel.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's cool.
so that's
So
quite cool to
I'm
reach
slowly,
20.
yeah, I'm slowly catching up with you. So I need to write a
You're
couple
very
more.
quickly catching up with me.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I don't know because you sped up more recently, so I think now we're probably neck and neck. So it's going to be difficult for me to overtake you. But I think
Yeah,
if you'd kept writing at the pace that you wrote, like the Hastings one, I would have been like well ahead of you now because I
it's
think the
true.
one I've just written, I think was probably the 17th or something like that. I'm sort of 17, 18, somewhere around there.
Oh yeah, so you're
I
much. I
haven't.
think Viking Fire was my seventh Justin Hill novel.
Yeah,
So I've written 30, 12 Justin D. Hill novels.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's in how many years?
10 years.
10 years. So
So
you're
just more than
writing
one a
more
year.
than one a year. Okay, I might overtake you then.
Mm,
Give a couple more years,
yeah.
but we'll see. It's not a race.
No, it's not.
I think for me, my highlight, probably professionally speaking, was the events in Spain, the
Yeah.
literary festivals that I went to in Spain, because it was the first time I've been like on a mini sort of literary tour. You know, of
Been flown around the world,
flown around the world, put up in hotels, and
given
just
ham and sherry
just
and
meeting just great
tapas.
people, and my wife came with me and she loved it as well, and we had a great time, and it was just really nice because it could have been one of those things I think she thought that, oh well, I'll go because I can go, and she's Spanish, so she thought, well, it'd be nice to go to Spain. But I think she thought she was going to be sort of sitting in the room reading a book and sort of getting ignored while I did my
Yeah.
work thing, you know, mingling and sort of, you know, signing books, whatever I was going to be doing. Whereas in the end, she felt very much part of it, and she was very much embraced by the you know the community of writers, and she was invited along to all the meals, and she was there all the time and made friends, and I think she enjoyed it really a lot, you know. So
Yeah.
that was
I
great.
think I think that's quite a special thing because I've taken Elle on a couple of kind of literary tours like that.
Hmm.
Um, and it's, we know that we spend most of our time sitting alone in a room. The height of my social life is talking to you every couple of weeks over Zoom, and it's quite something for our partner, our wives, our partners see us kind of out and being lauded for writing books because it doesn't happen very often, and it's
Yes.
quite a
Yeah.
treat. And it's suddenly night. I mean, Elle loves it because she gets to be a spectator and just kind of, sit back and let me, uh, you know, take the limelight. So that's quite a rare and lovely experience. Because it's not often we get kind of out to meet the public anyway, but certainly not for our partners
Yeah.
to see that.
Yeah, it's true. And I think there was a moment last week, and I went to a concert in London. I went to Goldsborough Books. I was just with my eldest daughter, and
Mm,
she's become a really avid reader in the last 5 or 6 years since she's 26 now. Basically, since she sort of hit her late teens, she just started getting really into reading, and now she reads voraciously. Reads lots of romantasy and stuff. Doesn't read the sort of thing that we write, but she
mm.
reads a lot. Anyway, I took her to Goldsborough Books. She was looking. I think she got a strange sort of kick out of seeing some of my books on the shelf where it's saying, you know, first edition signed by the author. I think seeing my books in bookshops is almost more impactful to her than just not knowing that, you know, well, obviously it's more impactful than just knowing I'm a writer, but I think it sort of brings it home. And I think she
Yeah,
was like, oh, you know, I think she felt quite proud. She didn't say
it all kind of
as
links
much,
up
but I could
together.
sort of see that she was sort of quite impressed by seeing that. She just didn't say it, or didn't say, well,
Yeah,
Dad, I'm really proud of you. You're amazing. No, didn't say
yeah.
that. But so 2026, what have we got that we're looking forward to? Looking forward to more of the same on the podcast, better, bigger, and better things.
Yeah, more conversations. I think it's very interesting because often we kind of think, oh, what we're gonna talk about today, and we come up with a couple of ideas, and then we never have enough time to finish off what we're talking about.
Yeah,
So I think that's quite a fun thing, because I don't think there's many podcasts where two practicing writers sitting down and chatting, and I don't know. I think that's quite cool. Or
yeah,
there's a lot of stuff, interesting things about writing and the process and the life of being an author that it's lovely to talk about. Um,
yeah. So more of us talking, more guests.
yeah,
So hopefully, you know, I mentioned
good
Toby Clements said
guests.
he might come on, so that'd be great. And hopefully we've, you know, We've spoken to Con Eagledon's people. We'd love to
Yeah.
get Con Eagledon on. Hopefully he'll be on in 2026, although, I can't promise anything, but, we reach out to these people. If there's any guests that you, as the listener, would like to have on, or you've got suggestions, then please drop them in the comments, because we're always, interested in seeing, getting guests on that you obviously want to listen to as well.
Yeah.
So yes, meeting more guests, and hopefully got a few events and things lined up. We've got a couple that we're going to be attending as Rock Paper Swords, but the two of us together. One which we can't announce yet, I don't
which is
think,
very exciting,
but it's very exciting.
but anyone of a certain age,
and we will be announcing that as soon as we're able to, but it's not been made public yet. But that's something that's going to happen in May, I think. But then in August, both of us are going to the Historical Novel Society in Maynooth, I don't know how you pronounce it, Maynooth, near Dublin. And that's we're going to be the podcasters, the roving podcasters of choice of the place. So we're going to repeat what I did with Stephen a couple of years ago in the one in Devon. So roving reporters going around interviewing people, just chatting to writers, having a few sort of sit down chats with people, and just rubbing shoulders with the people in the different areas and chatting away.
Which is always
great. Which is going to be great. And then it's busy, a lot of work, but really great fun. But also out of that, we're doing a presentation with writer Jean Gill, which I don't know if that's public knowledge yet, but anyway, that will be at some point that will be announced. But we're doing a talk as well, and we may be doing even something else, which probably shouldn't say too much about, because I'm not sure that will be
very exciting.
But anyway, we're doing lots of things there, so that's going to be great. And what else?
You'll be finishing a Roman novel.
I'll be finishing a Roman novel. You'll be finishing Hastings? No, you'll be starting Hastings.
Well, it'd be lovely to start it. Yeah, it'd be lovely to get this contemporary thriller out. Funny, I had another idea for a contemporary novel strike me. I was walking the dog about 3 days ago. I was like, ooh, should I write that one before Hastings?
Don't do it. Don't do it. No.
Yeah, Hastings.
Hastings first.
Yeah, so that's exciting. I had this Black Library novel coming out, which is very exciting, the contemporary thriller. Hastings. There's all kinds of stuff. And probably what I always think is that half the exciting things that are going to happen next year we have no idea about.
Well, that's right. I mean, this time last year, you didn't know you'd be on the podcast. I didn't know that Stephen was going to decide to leave the podcast and that you were going to be here. So, I mean, this is all new. So, the two events that we're doing next year were not known about, this time last year. So yes, I think you're right. And in fact, the Spanish events, I heard about them, I think, originally in January last year as well, or this year. So as you say, lots of new things probably will crop up, and we'll find out. And get excited.
I might finish my BBC. I should finish my BBC Maestro courses, because I think I've got a year subscription.
Yeah, I got given a year subscription probably a year before you, and I watched 2 or 3 of them and then didn't watch any more. I downloaded the PDFs for 2 or 3 of them, and that was it. And then time goes flying by.
Yeah,
because I found it was between novels. I had a moment. I was like between one novel and the next, and I thought the same as you. I thought, I'll watch a couple of these, and I did. And I'm trying to remember who it was that I watched. Ken Follett, I think, had one, and I don't know if it's I can't remember, a female writer. I'm trying to remember who it was, but like about writing, romance or something. I thought, well, I'll read some of that as well. It's always good, but to get a different perspective on writing. But yeah, the best way of practicing writing is actually to practice it. I think that's probably the reality.
That's very true.
Actually, just do it. So. Well, let us know, as I said before, in the comments, who you'd like us to have on the podcast, and you'd like us to do, any topics that you'd like us to cover in the new year. And
things you'd like us to talk about, or
things you'd like us to talk about, and also what things are you looking forward to? What things are you looking forward to in 2026, and which of our podcast episodes have been your favourite? Anything you'd like, drop us a comment wherever you're listening or watching this. That would be great. But I think that's probably it for today's episode.
Yeah.
Because people have got to get preparing for New Year's Eve.
Well, they've probably arrived at the pub by now.
Yeah, that's right. You probably yes. You're probably just coming in, shaking your umbrella off from walking the dog, thinking, "I need to turn off this podcast." Well, it's been
Stumping the
nice having
snow.
you. Thank you very much for joining us for our bit of waffle about what we've enjoyed and looking back at 2025, looking forward to 2026, and hopefully you will stay with us for the journey, and we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So don't forget to leave a review and subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already. And if you're watching on YouTube, you have to you can click the notification thing, so make sure you sort of find out when new episodes drop. And thanks, of course, to all of our patrons on Patreon, and a special shout out to our Patreon producers, who are Andy Maxwell, Adam Turner, Ben Mayer, Ben Fox, George Johnson, and Matt Muller.
You can sign up on Patreon to support us from as little as £1 per month, or buy us a beer by following the link in the show notes.
Until next time on Rock, Paper, Swords, it's goodbye from me, Matthew Harffy.
And it's goodbye from me, and Happy New Year from Justin Hill.
And remember, whatever action and adventure you have going on in your life, be kind.
Stay safe.
And Happy New Year.